Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here and helping me welcome this book into the world. Clearly the book had a little bit of trouble being birthed tonight, as it did when I was writing it, because it took me forever to write this book. I spent years and years just sitting with this one Microsoft Word document that somehow became this physical book, which is super exciting. And I'm really happy to be reading from it tonight. So I will go ahead and launch in with the first poem in the book, which I've always kind of thought as like the thesis statement of the book, or kind of like part of it. And this poem is called Ah Love. I've loved myself silly, loved myself tame, loved myself to death nearly, loved myself into spirit, loved myself out of a situation, loved myself out of my five senses, gormandized and loved love after my own fashion, loved down all the unkindness, loved down a Dutchman, loved him to his bed, loved the land out of quiet, invited her to love by loving first, loved the general joy of the whole table, loved my estates away, loved the landlord out of both their English and French wine, loved the sun up, loved it down, loved last, I was the public fool. I've loved cool and brisk, loved as flat as port, gone to a party and had 365 hogsheads of love, one for every day of the year, loved without a cup, loved up all, seeing there is but a little left. Um, so now I'm going to read a poem from one of the book's three different sequences. And this poem is called In a Texas-Louisiana Border Dive Bar. There are like 7 or 8 poems with this same name in the book. And those of you who spent time with me in Lake Charles, Louisiana, may feel like some of this imagery is familiar to you from the various dive bars that we would all haunt together. So, in a Texas Louisiana border dive bar, I'm talking to the mortician and I tell him I hold my breath every time I drive by a funeral parlor. His is the one on the main road, and this bar is on the main road too. Corona's half off. I bite into a lime, and the mortician's head floats like a balloon off his body, bounces when it hits the ceiling, and then sails back down into place. The front door opens and lets in the daylight. Our eyes are fault lines before they ease when the dark writes itself upon us. There's a slot machine in the corner that speaks in Bible verses. A serpent loops itself around my ankle. My beer starts to taste like the blubber of an oil spill. The slot machine says we shall be redeemed. I lift my shirt to show the mortician a tattoo. He tells me he prefers a blank canvas. Okay. Now I'm going to fast forward to one of the other sequences in the book. These are imagined letter poems between a speaker named Susan and her ex-love, Emily. These names might sound familiar to you all. They are in conversation with Emily Dickinson and Susan, one of her great loves. But we imagine this as a contemporary Susan writing a letter poems to a contemporary Emily who's not quite Emily Dickinson, probably. So could I subpoena you like Beetlejuice, Emily? You've won, my desperado. Won't you travel back? Be my taskmaster. Ask me to order us tikka masala for dinner. Do whippets and say, fuck you, Susan. I'll see you on Mars. Time is different on the fourth planet. There we're stuck in that moment of you on our fat beige couch in tidy whities, the one stained with a drop of electric blue nail polish. You read my owl horoscope, tell me to go outside and make my shadow waltz, to stop being such a groundhog. You're a shadow puppet now, and the bulb in my flashlight is dimming. I wanted to come with you wherever you'd go, and I bought a used car to prove it. The thing didn't pass inspection, smoked like it learned to flirt in hell. And you said I bought a car just like me, its tires too small for its body like my feet. Maybe no arm besides your left will impress me so. With you I stayed up too late too often, the car dead in the driveway, a sculpture of sorts. Your arm tucked at your side when I finally got to bed, the drone of the that spray for mosquitoes seeping into and catching in the molasses of where your mind had gone, where you were the king, baby, and I was your queen, all that velvet. This is a poem where a speaker sees a shark in the middle of the street. So this is a surreal poem. This did not really happen to the poet or the speaker, probably, but we're going to imagine that it did happen to the speaker. This is called Only a Fin Remains When I Return for Teeth. Lately, I understand everything intellectually and nothing emotionally. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but I experience it all the time. My dog pulls as I walk her, and we find a great white dead in the street, its mouth open slightly, teeth showing coyly, eyes like gods in the ceiling of a cave at night. If I stared into them long enough, they might take me like an old friend down some path to the perfect spot of shade for a weighty conversation. Or I might trip into them and land in an incredible hurt past or future. My dog sniffs gills, and I poke the thing's head with a stick. Unmoved by this, I realize the true heft of its body. I'm supposed to conjure up awe for being the alive one and finding this thing I spent so long fearing become powerless against me. But instead, I nudge the shark's torso with my foot gently, and a wind blows a magnolia leaf down over its eyes, shielding them out like blackout curtains to blot me out. This poem used to have a different ending that was a little bit darker, and now this is like a little bit of a more ambiguous ending. I'm still figuring out the ending to this poem. I revised my poems over and over and over again for years and years and years. So some of the poems in this book are still in progress. Even though I like that poem, it has not found its correct ending yet. I wonder when it will. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So here's another Emily poem. Emily, I bought a new bed. I hear a wood thrush outside playing flute for any bird who will listen, and think of the red neon sign for girls, girls, girls in the bathroom at that bar. What was its name? It's been so long since we sat across any dim-lit booth from each other, and sometimes I like boys, and everyone come to think of it, but can tell in the minor curves of mouths, even yours, that choosing a side would put people at ease. But choice is funny, like a mouth that could receive you or grow a fist and gills and take you under. You cut off the blood to my hand when that koi jumped out of the pond. I try to find that overrun place, but it's gone. I go on walks so long, the life I leave behind deadbolts. I worried you, I know. But your dishes stacked in the sink for weeks until I scraped them with a butter knife. The blue dish soap made my hands crack, and I have never stopped running the disposal as though I can hear your voice somewhere in it. The new sink whines when shut off. My roommate asked if the sound was the dead lady screaming, the one who had a heart attack in our house 2 months before, and I said, yes, I hear her, and I heard myself too. I look at the lapse of miles on my face and wonder who will take me now. When I stretch out on my new bed, my wingspan is almost queen. You told me it was like God thought about giving me the gift of flight, then changed his mind. Okay. Yesterday was International Non-Binary Peoples Day, and so I wanted to read a poem that was in conversation with that. This is called You, Temporary Balm to My Endless Suffering. I adore the particular you in poems, genderless beloved. The you implies the queer, implies they. You are covered in soap when the apartment shuts off the water to screw with us. I will help you towel most of it off. You will come to the ER and sit beside me in my palpitations. In your story, you can't recall the name of the dog who was missing a leg but could speed like the wind. You and I will adopt a dog that reminds you of that dog, name them Brutus. Your mother used to tell you to go outside and play your make-believe game so she could light a cigarette in the kitchen and smoke in utter silence. Your voice was too loud, the school librarian said. One more warning and you'd have to sit in the hall while the rest of the class was in the library. One more warning and I'll pin you to the mint in the garden. That's not mint, don't eat it, you warn me, but I'm pretty sure it is. You and I play the make-believe game. We're horse trainers and other times we're burglars, and you always let me have the first say in who we are. Okay. I think I'm getting close to time. So I have a couple of poems in this book that I want to read from a sequence that involves dinosaurs. These poems didn't almost did not make it in the book because I thought they were like a little bit too nerdy or something. I just wasn't sure how they'd go over. But then I kind of added them in at the end, and surprisingly, I added them in right before Jackleg accepted the book. So Jackleg was one of the first presses that read the book with the dinosaurs in there, which is pretty cool. So I appreciate Jackleg for liking the dinosaurs. Hopefully, um, so this poem is called Triceratops. I'm trying my damnedest to be good. Imagine having a body shaped to perfection for nothing but defense. It destroys my relationships to be honed this way, horned this way. The clatter of us trod the plains, lie in the wallow, and I'm agitated by everything. Even the slightest breeze some days sets me off. I fell in love once, convinced myself that was it, all I got. I was wrong. Beyond the comparative darkness of a doubt, beyond the image cast by my body intercepting light, there is a why to treading through another morning of never-ending mist, to leasing the dirt caking my feet. Okay. And I'm going to figure out what I want to. I'm probably not going to read another dinosaur poem, but I will read another in a Texas-Louisiana border dive bar poem. Uh, if everything beautiful is born of wreck, then take me to the salvage yard of my effect. I sit at our booth waiting for no one. The mortician sits down real close to me and explains what happened to the stars. They were shook from the tree of the sky like figs by a heavy wind, and if we climbed up to the roof of this place, we would see them splayed out there, confused, shaking. I ask him if we should get on the roof and throw them upward, hoping the sky will fetch them. He says all we can do is wait. I hate this sentiment. I'm going to wish upon them, each wish not for the world, but for myself. To wind time in the direction of the room where everyone taken early from me sits in a circle of chairs, and someone in the room has just said something so funny we laugh until our sides split and our eyes flood, and we become aware of our cheeks, and everything outside that room, especially here now, dissolves into cosmic frass. Okay. And I will read just one more because I want to make sure that we get to our other readers, some of my favorite Florida poets who are here tonight, and then some of my new poet friends as well who have books coming out. This last poem is one of the poems from the Sue Emily letter poem sequence, and this one is fun to read, so I thought I'd end the reading with it. It's called Salt Rimmed for You, Emily. Nights so wild we soured, nights so wild there was a fingernail left of us. Tequila nights on me so wild our hands took lime shapes. That one night mild because we gave a name to the tile, no chance to rally. Full moon we got so wild the neighbors called us howls. We shrank to children too wild, lighting fire to drought, to another draft, to the tumbler crashed. A toast to us, again and always to us. That's how we prayed, glass to glass, lime to lips, glass to countertop for good luck, glass to lips, lips to lips, tulips to say I'm sorry when the morning's dry throat asks for tap water. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much to listening to some of the poems from I Was Your Bird. This book, hopefully you got kind of a taste of this book being about a lost speaker in their 20s. That's how I think of this book. Reading that last poem makes me feel very old because I don't have a lot of wild nights anymore. Those days are kind of behind me, but it also makes me feel nostalgic for those nights and sort of what this book captures as well, that sort of younger, wilder time where I was kind of flailing about and figuring stuff out sometimes, and still there being a lot of mystery as well. So thank you all so much for listening to, we did have some wild nights. Thank you all so much for listening to poems for my new book. I hope you enjoyed them, and I'll hand it over to our next reader.
Thank you so much, Brett, for your beautiful words. And I dropped a link to Brett's book in the chat for those who don't have a copy. Please feel free to order. And if it's not within your financial means to do so, order a copy for your library because that's just as cool. Next up, we have Annie King. So honored to be here with you, Annie. Take it away.
Hi, folks. And so glad to be here. I somehow am new to Brett's work, which feels like a really delightful thing to have happen in 2026. So thank you for having me, and I really enjoyed hearing you read. I'm going to read two pieces about fire because it is 96 degrees outside or hotter right now, and it just seems to work. The first one is called Delinquent. I am exhaling white clouds from my mouth like rings of smoke, and puffing more clouds through those rings, and my teeth are ash soft, and everything comes out of my mouth smelling like smoke. Blankets hung as walls inside of the unfinished house smell like smoke, and pull themselves tight into tunnels, and tight on my hair, and pull tight around my throat, and there are matches in my hand, and tendrils of smoke rise from a floor made of birthday candles, and tendrils of smoke rise from a floor made of cigarette butts, and tendrils of smoke rise from a floor made of burned pocked shipboard, and the cells of my family divide until every room is a cell filled with siblings, and every sibling is shaped like a canary, and every canary is an alarm, and every room is filled with smoke and sound, and every sound rings out sharp and doubles back on itself like a smoke ring, and every canary warbles and shrieks, and the exposed insulation is melting all around us, and all these parched and cracking sounds dissolve into each other like ash and smoke. And tendrils of smoke rise from all the doorways, and tendrils of smoke rise from my siblings, and tendrils of smoke rise from the matches in my hand, and my mother is standing in the doorway, and I am striking one match after another, and my mother is made of doorways, and the exhortations of my siblings turn to exhalations of smoke, and every one of the doorways I walk through leads back to this burning house, and I am about to be put out like fire. This next one, I'm just going to go right into because I had a lot of fun with it not having a real title in the book. So, um, all the grass in the field is grown back. Green tangles of bittersweet, ragweed, and pigweed climb together over the soft charred remains from the fire. But isn't it too soon to be done mourning the old stalks of pregnant milkweed, all those seed pods ready to burst? And the Queen Anne's lace. Shouldn't we be veiled in lace? Shouldn't we be wearing black? Remember how we lost all the black-eyed Susans and softly purple chicory blossoms? So tell me, isn't it too soon for the acrid scent of ferns, for the cicadas and their hot electric scream? Don't you think the bees are moving on too quickly, and the crickets and grasshoppers and mice and birds and foxes? Don't they remember how the fire was also like an animal, how it was so hungry, how it chased them out of the leaves and from their burrows, and its hot breath followed them from so close behind as they ran and ran and ran? How the fire clambered over the fallen dead tree, incinerating a whole log full of ants and termites just across the creek, how it raced its way across the yard and sent the old dog tearing from under the porch, and the fat, sleepy chickens. Didn't it trap them in the coop before cutting right through the clothesline? Didn't it make straight for the house and send my mother leaping over the smoking porch steps and running for the car? And isn't it too soon for there to be a whole new house built where the old house burned? Isn't it too soon for the clothesline to be strung again, for sheets flapping like bird wings against the hot blue sky? And I'm just going to do one more because I think I'm good on time. Um, this is called David and Jonathan Forever. This is a triptych, and I will get right into it. WrestleMania. That kind of boy kills giants with rocks, wrestles other boys, arm lock, headlock, chin lock, gets all sweaty, slippery out there in the field, plucking pebbles, rocks. He swings that rope, that sling he swings, slings himself round till he hits you. That giant killer, call him Prince Killer. Let him slay you. Ironically. No, facetiously. No, it's figuratively. Feet wide, knees wide. Wrists slip your grip, tangle you up, thigh to thigh, teeth in him, cleave to him. Oh, the mouth on him. Pin him down. This boy is love. He says, Jonathan. Each piece bitten off like separate words. No like a poem, no like a battle cry. Bible study. 1 Samuel 18, 1 through 3. Jonathan the prince plus David the giant killer. Souls knit together. Pastor says this is what cleaving means. I imagine them. Writing David and Jonathan heart circled in the dirt every morning. Jonathan on his horse, giving David his everything. Clothes, armor, weapons. I'm wearing your armor right now. Basketball camp sweatshirt. Still smells like you. I'm wearing your hat. Still smells like you. Do I smell like you? My brother says, gross. What a homo. Looks right at me. Pastor says, don't be disrespectful. David and Jonathan were like brothers. But 2 Samuel 1:25 through 27, Jonathan the prince dies in battle. David the king laments, your love to me was more wonderful than the love of women. And my brother says, seriously, so gay. Pastor says, absolutely not. And my brother asks if you and I are cleaving. And Pastor says, that's enough, but actually, I want to know too. Contronym. Don't you know what it means to cleave? What it means to weave 3 strands of floss into a bracelet? How to make a mixtape? How to make it mean, oh, my soul longeth after thee? Sure, it's brotherly love in all these psalms. You alone are my heart's desire in these folded notes. Just 2 tent mates at Bible camp. Just 1 sleeping bag trope. The church choir trip to East Lansing, singing Hallelujah and around. Top level of the parking lot, garage. Not a love song, but sounds like it should be. When you hit the harmony, oh, unfold the high note. Cleaving also means leaving, split as in gone, or pass through by cutting. Left me 3 strands of hair, a toothbrush, and a t-shirt. Thank you, folks. I really, again, so excited for you, Brett, and I cannot wait for my copy to get here.
Thank you so much. I can't wait for your book either. I just dropped the link to Annie's book in the chat as well. Be sure to order that too.
Annie,
I
that was
believe I'm
amazing.
next. Is that right?
Yes, you are. I was just about to introduce you, Anthony. Please take it away. Thank
Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm Anthony Baruso. I'm so excited to be reading here at Brett's book launch event. And I got to read a copy, or I got to read a manuscript of it a long time ago, which was already really amazing. So to know that Brett's been working on it since then, I can only imagine how good it is at this point. And I'm very excited to get my physical copy and check it out. I'm also just really excited to see who I'm reading alongside, and I thank everyone for being here. This first poem I'm going to read it's kind of inspired by a billboard that I kept driving past in Tampa. So when I first moved here, I kept seeing this billboard that said IYKYK in really big letters. And if you're unfamiliar with that, or if you're not one of the cool kids that knows the lingo, it means if you know, you know. And I remember initially being like, that's kind of dumb. Like they're not giving me any information. Like I don't know what they're selling. I don't know if they're marketing someone. So as I kept driving past it, like I guess curiosity took a hold of me. I'm like, what exactly is this? So I did a deep dive on the internet, and I found out it was a lawyer's sign. Like I guess not really that surprising. But I just started thinking about like, why was I so obsessed with that? Like, why did I really care about not knowing what was being referred to? And that made me think a lot about like, being on the inside, being in the in group versus being on the outside, and a lot of times how language helps us to navigate those things. So this is a poem I wrote called IYKYK. There are shortcuts, and I know them. I say celibate and you think wunderkind. I say hydrangea and you blush blue or pink depending on the soil's acidity. Who knows if you're in the know, but I know many folks have come up to me and said, man, you are so far out you're in, which I assume puts me at the center of a vast conspiracy in a tight-lipped forest of acronyms and winking eyes. Just FYI, it was Occam slit Chekhov's throat, and Petrarch whose sighs ushered an era of unchecked lust and flagrant name-dropping. Come here, to me, on the outskirts of the outskirts. Speak softly and tell your friends to scooch so my seedling can suck some sun. Last week, I arrived in a U-Haul filled with nothing but styrofoam and packing peanuts. I swear I have nice things, but I can't describe them and don't care to. My calling has always been supplication, querying big wigs for a curl to climb in exchange for focaccia recipes and my letterboxd watch list. I'm just here for the lols and fiber optic intimacy. I want to ply the group chat with Sopranos memes that fell off a truck. Still, I need first to infiltrate, to make these sweet signifiers speak like the stethoscope straight to the heart. Come in, make yourself at home. Have some pecan scones, chamomile tea. Oh, that's just my brainchild. He's the one stranded in the bathroom mirror, mumbling vice versa, vice versa, vice versa. So the second poem is kind of about like being in a digital age and how the way love is represented now is so different from like classic literature and things like Romeo and Juliet and like all these ways that it's been depicted over time. Um, and one other thing about this poem is that Geraldo Rivera makes a very quick appearance. Um, if you don't know this, like initially, Geraldo became famous for doing this expose on Willowbrook. I think it was like either a mental hospital or a hospital for the intellectually disabled. And then right after that, he had this thing that was going to be even bigger than that, which was him revealing what was inside Al Capone's vault. And so they really hyped this thing up. They like put it on television and had all these like ads and commercials for it. And eventually, when he opened the vault, there was nothing in it, which I just find to be really funny. And I feel like he squandered his credibility so quickly. But he makes a quick appearance in this and in the title. If you open the vault, there better be something inside. From wiki rabbit hole to excavating Snapchats from the Titanic's wreckage and stacking careful decades like Anna Kendrick just to collapse them with the swiftness of a viral dance craze. Clumsy on love, I knock into an image. Philip Sidney as an undergrad, flashing his fake at the tattooed face of a bouncer. Poor versifier, entering a flashing cave of bodies, 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 all victims of helicopter and free-range parents, idealized romantic traditions of clever deception and anadiplosis in DMs. DMs where in the style of Vanna White, touch turns to language and language leads back to touch. Clickbait muses and fruitful showers spamming my inbox. In IAMs, I ask, who can die young in an atmosphere like this? Who could pine for star-crossed semantics or even bother waking up Bourbon Street slurring, Stella? Now everyone's moving to Denver. The moon warns with its sly smile, better not, because the love poem, if nothing else, has shown us that recoil's a killer. It's cold and the spectacle of self is getting old. The spectacle of self is getting old. I've barely the strength to retweet Dante or copy paste a lover's face. And here comes Pandora carrying a cardboard Colorado for the USPS. She's no Geraldo making outlandish claims about what's inside, a working stiff. She merely gets it where it's going. I don't blame her. It's HelloFresh that sapped the world of mystery. Chicken paprika in 6 simple steps. Who's got time to write a sonnet from scratch? All right, and I think maybe I have time to read one more. So this last one is just inspired from my love for The Simpsons. So for some reason, I've always been really obsessed with the opening sequence of The Simpsons where Bart's writing on the chalkboard in detention over and over again. So for this poem, I'm going to ask you to do some mental work. I want you to imagine that every line that appears in the poem is something that Bart has written over and over again. So just multiply it times like 1,000 for whatever you hear. Also, I tried to give it a little bit more heft by using Bart's birth name. So we're going to go with Bartholomew's Penance. I will not make deep fakes of Miss Krabappel. I will not bring my musical saw to band practice. A chainsaw is not musical. Sir Mix-a-Lot does not have sprung rhythm. I will not hide war crimes in Milhouse's locker. I will not run a speakeasy in the boys' bathroom. I will not serve turpentine to minors. I will not tell Elliot to eat my shorts. I will not panhandle assembly. I will give Heath Ledger back his posthumous Oscar. I will not get very far with this attitude. I will not swear or swear off. I will not criticize the Western penal system. A fire drill does not demand a fire. The jungle gym does not need a coating of olive oil. I will not shave my head and mimic Foucault. I will not dwell in possibility. I will not apply for a Guggenheim. I will not floss with caution tape. The chalkboard does not want for words. I am legally bound to Principal Skinner's NDA. I will not steal cogs from the great profit machine. I will not live tweet the couch gag. I will not couch all my statements in ambivalence. The truth is not out there. I will not endorse bloodletting as sanctioned medical practice. My muse does not speak for me. I will not spray paint El Barto on the Intrepid. There is always more room on the chalkboard. 36 seasons of this is a reasonable punishment. I think it's more than that at this point, but at this point it was 36 seasons. I will not leverage a spinoff. I will not make Whitmanian proclamations about the ever-sprawling soul. I will not snarl at Daddy Decay. The shingles virus is already inside me. I will not call Jebediah Springfield toothsome. I will not toss Sisyphus a beach ball. Being alive is crisis enough. I will not claim to be St. Augustine. Television cannot purify the soul. I will not open the blinds to let a little light in. I will not slap wheels on reason's plank and skateboard into the sunset. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anthony. That was so fun. And I was just putting in the chat that I think we might need a Simpsons anthology. So maybe that's something that somebody here may have interest in editing at some point. I don't know, just a thought. Next up, we have Dorsey.
Hey, listen to them FSU poems, thick with the references. So I laughed so many times. Thank you so much, Anthony. And thank you so much, Brett. I really, really appreciate you including me in this amazing group of poets. Brett and I are double classmates from McNeese and FSU, which just warms my heart so much. I'm gonna read, I'm gonna try to like scream through three poems from my forthcoming collection with Texas Review Press, where Brett is also an amazing editor. And then I'm gonna try to read one brand new one that like no one has heard except for the people who were at Yaddo with me a couple weeks ago. So. All right. My collection, A Brief History of Accidental Inventions, is the result of my laziness. I was writing a book that was going to be about like hunting and gun culture, and then I had my son, and I was really only writing these baby poems, so I just kind of like smashed them together. And these first couple poems are going to kind of speak to that, and then the third one is one from towards the end of the collection where those themes are sort of resolving themselves. So. The first one, this is the opening poem, Instructions on Breastfeeding. Do not worry about your posture. Slump like a rat. Give a little, squeeze and pinch. Babies are so like guns, their heavy heads filled with potential. You'll want some thick gloves. You'll want to touch yourself. You will peel and peel at the paint of your chest, uncovering the red beneath the white, beneath the porcelain. Invest in a tinted moisturizer. Invest in semi-automatic weapons. Your baby will grow steadier, and you will not trust his teeth. You will want assurances. Weave your hair into a tree and nail the tree above his crib. This is a way of forgiving. This is a way of killing the moon. Palm him as you would a feathered body, small and gray, a light touch, if you can. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's 5 now and he's like shrieking. It's really distracting to me. Anyway, so A Brief History of Accidental Inventions, the title poem. When we invented gunpowder, we were trying to invent the elixir of life. And when we invented shame, we were trying to invent silk scarves. And when we invented the guillotine, we were trying to invent the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. And when we invented the gospel, we were trying to invent apostrophe. And when we invented spelling tests, we were trying to invent the honeybee. And when we invented candy cigarettes, we were trying to invent childhood. And when we invented pedometers, thermometers, we were trying to invent fathers. And when we invented hollow tip bullets, we were trying to invent lilacs. And when we invented invention, we were trying to invent marzipan. And when we invented virginity, we were trying to invent the line break, the love affair of language with what comes after. And then this poem, I believe, is like the penultimate poem in the collection. It's called New Year's Day 2023. For New Year's Eve, our neighbors had us over, and the man looked at my son's eyes, which are exactly my blue-green color, and declared, "You are going to get so much ass." After which he revealed he is a poet, gifted me his manuscript to read. I am writing a poem in a million sections, each titled Men Waste My Time. I wear a lot of black this time of year. My skin and hands and eyes are dry. I think I'm supposed to feel hopeful. I think I'm supposed to clean the bathroom and take down the Christmas tree. Yesterday, my son slept in until 7:30 when I heard him on the monitor pulling books between the crib slats. The strip of light at the edge of the blackout curtain was deep cream, and I watched it wave forever in the dark. I am forever apologizing to my Google Home, flicking videos of women getting dressed, making more and more cups of coffee. I rarely think about the week when I was stuck in one hospital and my son, just born, was stuck in another. Daily, a discussion of another child. Daily, 2 shots of insulin for the dog. Bernadette Mayer died this year, and Barbara Walters died this year, and so did a man called Vance Boone, who learned Latin from my great-grandmother, whose collections of Ovid I keep but cannot read. Some goals. Stop buying jeans. Stop being angry at mom, dad, sister, husband. Do not say, "He's a genius, he's going to Yale," every time the baby places a puzzle piece or pulls on his sock. Picture language like bananas cut into halves and quarters and eighths. Breastfeeding's finally done, and I'm back to getting high at night. Feasts of crackers and cheese, costume dramas, things that hold me over so the days can keep on repeating. I've wasted my own time now for an hour, stroking the velvet deer, his plastic peeking through one eye. Lord, soften the light this year. Lord, shade it blue-green. Okay, cool. All right, so I have 4 minutes, which is great. This is like kind of a longer, rangier poem. As I alluded to earlier, my child is getting older and he says things now that are so wild. So this is a very, very recent, like new poem that has to do, that's titled after something that he said recently that I was like, what? It's always while we're driving, so I'm like, what? Anyway. Uh, my son says alive and dead are opposites. I make the search engine do a Latin dance, opposite from the word for stand in the way of, as in good morning again, happy birthday again, make sure to stand in the way of death today. Maggie Nelson says movement in space is the essence of freedom, and that's why I teach you board games before math. I'm standing in the way of your chess piece, the little magnets in my feet stuck down to my black square of want, want, want. Even Sylvia wrote, "Get outside myself." Wish I could ask her what the opposite of Lazarus is and why the zombie endures as ho-hum pop culture while we wait in line to be ghosts. Make sure you eat enough fiber. Make sure to wear sunscreen. Now I am become Mama, as in, Mama, I dreamed I was the moon, and Mama, I only like pretty girls, and Mama, will you wipe my butt? When I read Dr. Spock, I cried at this sentence. Putting lotion on your baby is fun, and it will not hurt him. What's the opposite of postpartum psychosis? What's the opposite of God? A football? My mom would say the devil. It is her belief that her children are surrounded by devils. She says, he is so smart, just like you. If I touched opposite, would more opposites pinata out? I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist of opposites. I'm just a servant of the living God. I'm just a peachy peach, a juicy round opposite awaiting rot, awaiting your prying fingers and mouth. You saw Maria von Trapp and said, that's Mary Poppins. And you asked me how to be in a movie, and you asked me how was my day. And I cried because don't worry about me, my potato, my lamb foot, my red popsicle. I am just a cicada shell you'll shed, and I'll shrivel happy lying at your feet. You have shown no impulse towards cruelty. You have swum in alligator creeks. You are an oily opposite floating purple to the top again and again. Mama, what did you dream? Mama, tell me again. Mama, putting lotion on your baby is fun. Mama, the name of my baby is Joshua. The name of my opposite is Century. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dorsey. I received a message from Nat. Unfortunately, Nat could not be here tonight, so we're going to turn it over to the amazing Natalie to close us out.
Hey everyone. It's so incredible reading with all of you and celebrating Brett's book. I'm really excited because we did a lot of email exchanges over many summers. And I feel like your Emily and Susan letters are like drilled into my head. So it's just great to hear those poems. I'm gonna read a couple poems from my book, Milk for Gull. And I don't typically read these poems. I think they tend to be a little bit more dreamy and moody and more vulnerable. So I figured we're amongst friends. So that's why I'm going with some of these. Okay. Peonies in utero. I follow a strange bloom with slender limbs, the signature pink and plush reek of a peony. Stalk her into sweet smells of confession, spring, morning moon, and a white budding tree near the lake. I begin by washing my feet, drinking an indigo elixir. At first timid, she tells me about hard, cracked dirt, the ho-hum life among swans, and the reasons we prune the dead. Somehow, her femaleness offends me in a Kate Moss, small-breasted, dark-rooted sort of way. I think she feels my discomfort or guilt. She tells me vile truths. I cannot keep a fiddle leaf alive. I threw my baby dolls in the dumpster. I am used up, scraped out. I feel myself growing colder, cumbersome, thunderstruck with grunge, about to crack into a whole garden of bolts. Bring me the closed heads of peonies on a platter. She folds like a parasol and collapses to a sprout back into wet dirt. I do not know who or what I am made from, if my body can ever be home to a wheat field. I begin pinning thoughts upon the clothesline. Being one woman is never good enough. We were the same, clipped from the same deep pink root. I could feel her, rogue peony, settling down, flowering from my mouth. Bubbly and cake. A package sits at the doorstep. Yesterday was my birthday. Let's celebrate me getting out of bed. A package is sealed, stamped, delivered with my mother's pretty handwriting. Before ravaging it, calling her, I think of her bad day, her home alone, her voice getting into the liquor cabinet. I leave the package untouched, heavy, on the table ticking with the thing that kills me. How much love was squeezed into the box. How I always feel hurt, happy, hurt. How going home for summer break, I'm happy, but duct taped with dread. Here, a concoction that goes straight to the head. What becomes of unmothered girls? This is my package to you, little girl, little sister. You are learning the person who loved you first is absent but there and will never notice your resentment. You can't run away yet. You can't return to that quiet, dark, liquid place. Baby girl, I will hold your feet to the fire, then kiss them. Happy birthday. You are your mother's daughter. And that poem is buried in the middle of the book, so my mom never has to read it. Ghosthood. And it feels like lying on a bed, like a heap of winter coats during a dinner party to be sought after when needed. As if I'm surrounded by a floor full of white sheets, all sulk and piss off, and I have nothing to wear. And when I finally make an appearance, there is no Freddie Prinze Jr. waiting at the foot of the staircase. Through my eye holes, I see the rounds of mint juleps, cocktail weenies, and how my mood lingers over guests like dead metaphor, like lake mist. And there must be some kind of cosmic explanation for ephemeral flesh. So far, there is no fade to black, no pottery sculpting, no Long Island medium in the afterlife. Just me trying to Morse code a candlestick's drip, aches through a door's creak. And I'm sopping wet in someone else's grief, spineless, asking the grandfather clock to gong, keep going, going. Wringing out my moth-bitten soul as the saddest exhibit of flambeing baked Alaska takes place. And it is exhausting to be in a time loop of morning light, slow dancing on the kitchen hutch, being tied to these lace curtains in Schenectady, and you, my love, did you like the paranormal doilies I've left, the dust I kissed onto the asters? I would drag a UFO through a keyhole to say I am safe, but when I am walking, I never reach the walls. And then the last poem is called Dream Vision of Sylvia Plath. And I have a couple of these throughout the book where I engage with like different writers. So I picked a literary mother here. So Dream Vision of Sylvia Plath. Love had me reeling since the lake, the headlong plunge into barren landscape where ranks of rolling hills are guarded by black cypress that slant towards Bishops. Staggering about no man's land as my rival puzzles over her next move. She bites a fat purple fig, then drops it to snowmelt. I stalk like a rook, with dark plumes, perfumed and molting each style like a sable fur coat. My empress preens in expensive taste. I clip on her unwashed braid and feel like a Clydesdale galloping into my 30s. The annihilating brute whiff of what it means to have it all. Baby books and dissertations, boss bitch and stinking bibs. Consolation, she asks, offering her remedies, her nightshades. I peel my cuticles like eggshells, like archaic wallpaper. Who mothered who? Dressed me in footy pajamas and laid me down upon the forest floor. Was this Plath's gambit, the unseen latticework of Haifa? Overnight, very whitely, discreetly, very quietly, our toes, our noses take hold on the loam, acquire the air. We lodge ourselves as truffles, as dreams adjourned. As wet seasons spawn, with soft fists breaking into Egyptian cotton, the dormant generation becomes sinewy from crumbs, sweeps tidy tercettes into the dustbin, heaves through dried leaves, unexcused, not needing light, though a little is nice. We rise like gilded pillars, Metsutake, hen of the woods, slightly restored but colossal. As grand masters of the undergrowth, we inherit stately oak rooms, patient for the poem to swell in the night, up, up toward full-throated spring. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I love Sylvia Plath and love Set You Going Like a Fat Gold Watch. I heard it right away. So I think that's the end of our official featured readers, and I'm really sorry for any tech glitches that any of you experienced tonight. We're going to work that out for the future, but we're all here together to celebrate Brett's beautiful book. And again, there's a link to it in the chat. Brett, I just want to turn it over to you if you have anything you want to say, any closing remarks. No pressure. If you don't, that's fine. We can end here, but I want to give you the floor if there's anything you want to share at the end.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone who's here so much for coming to the reading. It means the world to me. I want to thank my fellow readers, Dorsey, Anthony, Annie, and Natalie. You guys did absolutely amazing. I love your work so much. It just means the world to me that you're helping me celebrate the birth of this book today. And we're just gonna chalk all of the technical difficulties up to Mercury in retrograde, which is over soon, thank goodness gracious. Um, but again, thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoy I Was Your Bird as much as I enjoyed writing it. So thank y'all so much. And thank you also, Nicole, for hosting. You're an amazing host, and I love everything that you do for Jackleg. So I'm super excited that you're here, and you helped me, birth this book into the world. So I really appreciate it.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much again for sharing time and space with us in celebration of poetry. And we're going to end it here tonight. I wish you all a great night and ask you all to support our readers and their amazing books any way that you can, either through a library order or just a direct purchase is amazing. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a great night and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.